There's another part of it as well, is it not?
Yes.
That has to do with this former officer of the National Signals Bureau.
Yes.
Do we have pointers to an identity of who this person is?
Yes, so we have been knocking on we have been doing some background checks to understand what really the matters could be and if there could be any link in that respect. But thankfully, in a live broadcast a while ago by Shatta Wale himself, he did indicate and he mentioned names. And if you do draw the links, it leads to one person. And we'll establish that soon.
Perfect.
However, Shatta Wale has also stated some things or some facts from his point.
Great.
Indicating what actually happened. And what stands out in that broadcast is to the fact that, yes, he confirmed that, yes, the Lamborghini in question is a vehicle that he bought, and he bought it for $150,000, that he bought it from Kobna Edu Boahene. Now, we know Kobna Edu Boahene is the former boss at the National Signals Bureau.
That name certainly rings a bell.
Exactly. He's going through a criminal trial in respect of some deal or some transaction in his former office.
Absolutely.
That aside, we had also been told that there were other issues that had to do with in relation to luxury vehicles and all that. So this now brings clarity to the matter. The Yoko referencing a former National Signals Bureau official who, together with Shatta Wale, have now become persons of interest because Shatta Wale says that he bought the vehicle from this person.
So Shatta Wale is just now confirming the identity of the former National Signals Bureau officer that the Yoko failed to put out.
Exactly.
So Shatta
they
Wale
did mention,
says,
except they didn't put the person's name in there.
Absolutely. Then Shatta comes on a live broadcast just a few minutes ago.
Yes.
And says, Kobna Edu Boahene. He bought the car from him.
And in fact, Shatta Wale says that when he was invited by Yoko and he met the executive director of Yoko, one of the things that he was told was the fact that, yes, Kobna Edu Boahene is currently going through a process, in Shatta Wale's words, that he is going down, and if Shatta Wale does not show where some of his vehicles are, he would go down with him.
Right.
That is Shatta Wale's narrative. But Shatta Wale says that this name, Nana Kwabena Amoah, as appeared on the Yoko statement, that this was not what he was told when he had a conversation with Yoko. That the only name that he was told about was the question of Kobna Edu Boahene.
That in this respect, the former National Signals Bureau boss.
Yes. But Shatta Wale also did indicate that when it comes to the vehicle, he bought the vehicle from him, who is a third party. He does not know who imported the vehicle. He does not even know who the original owner of the vehicle is or was. But he states categorically that he did not buy the vehicle from Nana Kwabena Amoah. In fact, that he doesn't know him.
Who Nana Kwabena Amoah being the gentleman who is in the U.S. now.
Exactly,
who is
the
pleaded guilty
in the U.S.
But you're a lawyer, so let me put you on this one. Does this narrative by Shatta Wale shield him of any responsibility whatsoever? That, yes, he didn't buy the vehicle from Nana Kwabena Amoah. He bought it from Kobna Edu Boahene. And so, well, he has no dealings with this gentleman.
So when you look at the statement from Yoko carefully, even though it does not mention money laundering, these are matters that border on money laundering.
Right.
And the offense of money laundering is so wide that you may not be directly involved with a person who is involved in an illegality, but to the extent that you are seen to be benefiting from proceeds of crime,
right,
then it robs off you.
Absolutely.
So it matters not really that you do not know the person in question, but that they are saying that the vehicle in question is a proceed of crime. Right. So we are tracing it. So when they find it with you, it's only reasonable that you also come under investigation to clear your name.
As an interested party.
If it happens that you bought it in good faith for money, without notice that indeed this was the matter, that's a different conversation. But for a starting point, once it's a proceed of crime, and that Yoko has been gotten in touch to by FBI in tracing that vehicle, that should not even arise in the first place. But that's aside the point. He goes on to make other points. That's the only reason he handed over the car to Yoko was the fact that he was told that the car was involved in a shooting incident in the U.S. In his own words, that somebody was shot in the car and that he got scared, he was traumatized. So that was the reason
he had knowledge.
He surrendered that car. He accuses Yoko of abuse of power and targeting. Now he says that he's no longer interested in the vehicle, but it doesn't even look like Yoko is interested in giving the vehicle back to him, because when you look at the final part of the Yoko statement, it is clear what they intend to do with the vehicle. That's what the government of Ghana to return the vehicle to the United States as part of restitution
for this gentleman. I see. Now we have a video, right?
Yes.
That it puts the matters in context. So indeed, Shatta Wale's narrative that he bought this vehicle in question, this Lamborghini, for $150,000.
And a yellow one at that.
A yellow Lamborghini for $150,000 from one Kwabena Boahene.
Yes.
Now, that name, as Dennis has established, brings to mind the former National Signals Bureau boss. Now, if you recall, the Yoko statement referenced a former National Signals Bureau officer. Now, one of the businesses of this former National Signals Bureau boss, Kwabena Boahene, who is standing trial now, is a car dealership. He used to deal in luxury vehicles. I'm going to show you a video of that company, that luxury vehicles company that Kwabena Boahene owned. And you will see the Lamborghini, the yellow Lamborghini in question that Shatta Wale bought in this video. Take a look at this.
Now available at the Dream Collection for rental, chauffeur-driven or your own dream. Now available at the Dream Collection for rental, chauffeur-driven or your own dream.
Yes, it does.
So this is the video of Kwabena Boahene's company.
Precisely so.
Right.
And these are some of the luxury vehicles that... This actually is a video that the investigative bodies have, for which they are looking into the matter. And our sources did indicate that, yes, clearly, you could see the Lamborghini in there.
Dennis, stay with me. Richard, come on. Started with Charles Niama Mensah, Shatta Wale himself,
yes,
making a post on social media.
That's right. He gave us an indication that there was something happening.
Fantastic.
Had it not been for that particular post, I doubt many would know that a lot had been happening behind the scenes.
Let's get into it.
So this was one of the first posts that he made, where he called out the acting executive director of Yoko by his name, Remonacha Yoko Boss. If you go make NDC go out of power next 4 years, bringing guns to my house was uncalled for, with exclamation marks. This raised a lot of questions as to what exactly was happening, for which reason he had to post this. Few minutes later, he went on to make another post. Yoko Boss, the president of Ghana didn't put you in that office to come and humiliate the citizens of this country. Remember, God knows sleep. Not happy. So many were wondering what exactly is going on, what the issue is between Shatta Wale and then the
Remonacha
and Yoko itself. Then, few hours later, there was a statement from Yoko seeking to to put matters into perspective as to what exactly was ongoing, for which reason Shatta Wale had to make those comments. And if you indulge me,
please.
This is the full length of the statement that came from Yoko.
Let's get into it.
That in June this year, the Economic and Organized Crime Office, acting on a 2023 request from the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, and the United States Justice Department undertook an operation which led to a lawful search in a home at Trasacco Valley, Phase 1 in Accra. It continues that the operation, which was undertaken by the Surveillance and Asset Recovery Unit, SARU, of Yoko, led to the discovery and seizure of a 2019 Lamborghini Urus, which the FBI and the Justice Department have tied to the proceeds of the criminal enterprise of one Nana Kwabena Amoah, who is currently 7 and 86-month sentence for several financial crimes in the U.S. It continues to say that the car was seized from one Charles Niama, a.k.a. Shatta Wale. The officers were professional and civil, and the search and seizure occurred without incident.
I see.
That Niama had pleaded with officers that he did not want the seizure to be made public because the vehicle was a big part of his brand, and that if his supporters saw the vehicle being driven away in the company of Yoko, it would destroy his brand.
No, let's stay the steam on that one. Let's go back a bit. So, according to Yoko,
yes,
they say that Shatta Wale pleaded
with officers
with
of
the
Yoko.
officers of Yoko.
Yes.
That he didn't want the entire seizure of this Lamborghini to be made public. But then again,
Reasons that he wanted his brand to be protected because that vehicle
the
formed
Lamborghini
part of
was
his
a big
brand.
part of his brand.
Precisely so.
And you can understand why, because he used to post that particular vehicle
I mean,
a lot.
for most of the luxury vehicles that he has, he makes them public.
True.
So
But
a good number of his fans know what is worth it when it comes to the number of vehicles that he has, and to that extent, the luxury vehicles. So that featured prominently in that statement, that Niama had pleaded with officers that he did not want the seizure to be made public because the vehicle was a big part of his brand, and that if his supporters saw the vehicle being driven away in the company of Yoko, it would destroy his brand.
I see.
Now let's see what Yoko did. So Niama was allowed to surrender the vehicle himself, which is currently in the possession of Yoko. That is to say, Yoko graciously granted his request. So he was allowed to surrender the vehicle himself.
So he drove the vehicle,
according to Yoko,
to the office of Yoko.
Precisely. Now, it is a standard safety protocol practice for officers of the Surveillance and Asset Recovery Unit, SARU, to carry weapons while on operation for the safety of officers. And this addresses the part where Shatta Wale raises concerns about it being unnecessary for officers to come to his home with guns.
Right.
They say it is in line with safety standard protocol.
So Yoko
practice.
is indeed confirming that the officers went to his house with guns?
Yes.
But for the safety
The
purpose?
FBI and the Justice Department intend to send a formal mutual legal assistance, MLA, to the government of Ghana to return the car to the United States as part of Nana Kwabena Amoah's $4.6 million restitution. Now, Charles Niama, a.k.a. Shatta Wale, and a former senior officer of the National Signals Bureau have been assessed as persons of interest and will be invited by Yoko to assist in further ongoing investigations in the coming days. It doesn't appear the matter is ending anytime soon because there's a signal that there's an ongoing investigation for which Shatta Wale and a former senior official of the National Signals Bureau have been assessed to be persons of interest. Now, Yoko may share the final investigations reports to the FBI and the Justice Department as part of our ongoing cooperation.
I see.
Alfred, having received this, we were also curious, wanted to know more about who this person is, for which reason the FBI had to coordinate with Yoko to now begin to trace some assets for which they say this forms part of proceeds of crime.
Who are we talking about?
We are talking about Nana Kwabena Amoah.
I see. There's over 4.7 million restitution.
So this means that this is a person who has been convicted for some crimes. This person has agreed to pay back a certain amount of money to the United States of America.
Like what our Attorney General is doing.
Yes.
You know, that is,
restitution.
You play.
Precisely so. So we checked on the FBI, some FBI documents, and we actually got some really good information on what exactly this person has done and what his current status is.
That's interesting stuff.
Now, you see the case citation as U.S. versus Amoah and McDonald. That Nana Kwabena Amoah and Shimia McDonald impersonated a non-profit organization that had business with the city of Lexington and convinced a city official to wire funds owed to the non-profit. The city wired over $3.9 million to a fraudulent account opened by McDonald using a stolen identity that had been obtained for him by Amoah. Ultimately, the bank and the city were able to recover all the funds that were fraudulently transmitted. Investigators found approximately 70 other victims of Amoah and McDonald's fraud scheme, 60 of which suffered losses of more than $4.6 million. Now, the result is that Amoah was sentenced to 86 months in prison and ordered to pay nearly $4.7 million in restitution. And McDonald received 80 months and was ordered to pay nearly $4.7 million in restitution. So this indeed is a case that had happened in the U.S. for which Amoah has been convicted, and now he has gone into restitution to pay this amount of money. Mind you, the Yoko statement says that this vehicle will be returned as part of restitution of Amoah. So this is what Yoko says, that yes, they will go through what they call a mutual legal assistance for the government of Ghana to return the car to the United States as part of Amoah's 4.7 restitution.
So that puts, it's a very important derivation that you referenced there, and then it's a great job there that we went to, you got to the FBI website, then bringing this information about this gentleman, this Ghanaian in question, puts the matters in context as to why he is actually now being the source of everything that's playing out in the case of Shatta Wale now. But then there's another part of it as well, is it not?
Yes.
That has to do with this former, then stay with me, Richard Commodore is a security analyst. He's been following how this matter has been evolving over the last at least 10 hours or so. We've been watching closely. Mr. Commodore, thank you for joining us. Now, with all the references and the great detail that Dennis brings to this, taking into consideration what the FBI itself has put out about this gentleman in question, which links Shatta Wale and how the Yoko has come in now, from the security perspective, how do you connect the dots?
Are you studying for the GRE?
That is money laundering and financial crime and related activities. And if you remember, we had a discussion about 2 days ago when the CID boss mentioned car theft, and Ghana has become a dominant place for many of these cars that has been stolen from one of the destinations we are talking about. And I said, if care is not taken, the fraud transference could be sent into second to third parties who might have just purchased a car for luxury or for business. And this is one of those cases. Now, when you speak about Shatta Wale in particular, he has been a person of interest since the day he started throwing money into the air and began to ride in town with those large numbers of vehicles, motorbikes. And when we say the person of interest, what we are talking about is that you have other come under crime notice, you have come under investigation notice, you have come under national security interest notice, you have come under safety notice, or you have come under insecurity notice. The profiling agencies within the law enforcement agencies will not prompt you, but then that is who he has become. And the person of interest could be nationally or globally. And to that extent, whatever activities you are engaging or related parties, to the extent that fraud can be investigated and you could be drawn in, you needed to take your due diligence seriously. And I don't think in this case he did that. And that is why he was drawn into this case. After, if you remember, Boahene, one of the charges against him was car theft. And
yes,
that is one of the things that Attorney General was pursuing. And for some of us within the investigative environment, arena, we are aware of many of these cases, and I was surprised he didn't cooperate with Promonacha, and he forced Yoko to issue the statement, which Yoko wouldn't do under normal circumstances. And so these are some of the things I talked to you about, options available to investigative agencies and prosecution agencies. Once you force them, then they are also entitled to issue out or to adopt some of the options available to them. And to that extent, I think he will need to be a bit more sober, because after you see, I've said it before, once you come under crime notice and the notice is served publicly or privately and is made known to you, you do not dictate how the investigation should be done and which approach should be done, which approach should be adopted. One of the words in the lines there is surveillance. It means that Boahene and Shatta Wale, many of our celebrities who have not taken due diligence seriously, have been put under surveillance by international organizations and local collaborators for a very long time. And the decisions could go against them when the adverse findings are made public.
I see. But then you reference how Yoko decided to deal with this matter, because they agreed to Shatta Wale's plea to them that he didn't want this matter public, because, this Lamborghini was a big part of his brand. They did this quietly until today that I think he went on social media, and then that prompted Yoko to also put out this statement. I mean, is that regular practice? That,
yeah, to every action, to every reaction, there's an action. And he caused it. I think he went on social media and said some other things. These are the things we are only knowing on social media. We don't know the phone conversations. You have become a person of interest. And there's surveillance. There are various forms of surveillance in this country and in some other parts of the world, which